All right, this is Philippians chapter 4, verse 4 here. Rejoice in the Lord always. I shall say it again, rejoice. Your kindness should be known to all, O my church. That's not what we're known for. The Lord is near. Have no anxiety at all. I'm going to say that again. Have no anxiety at all, but in everything, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, make your requests known to God. Then the peace of God that surpasses all understanding will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is gracious, if there is any excellence and if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. Keep on doing what you have learned and received and heard and seen in me. Then the God of peace will be with you. So, this passage is, I'm sure, if you've been in the church for any length of time, we've all heard this passage many times. But recently I did a thing, like in my head, where I started to, every time I wanted to say, like I'm afraid or like it started out by, okay, when I say afraid, I'm going to change the phrase just to myself to saying, instead of saying I'm afraid of this, I'll say I have an opportunity to have faith in this. Just because I've really been trying to grasp what faith really means, because I am convinced that nowadays we don't see faith like we're supposed to. I think that what we have as an example isn't faith, because the things that were done in faith are are nothing like what it is nowadays. And so I've really been meditating on that. And I started to notice when I did that, the first thing I noticed was I can find a whole lot of other words to express a feeling of fear. Because instead of saying, since every time I was saying, I'm afraid or I have fear, I would have to say, I have an opportunity of faith and reframe my thinking and present it to God. I started saying things like, I'm a little concerned, or, I just noticed this thing, or whatever. I had all these different ways of avoiding saying, I'm afraid about this, but it really is fear. And some people have a tendency to end up sitting in anxiety, where it's really a constant nagging feeling. But there's another side of it where it's that I call it the do people, the people that do all these things. Whenever there's something they're nervous about, they don't even feel this. They bypass fear and they just start doing, which is actually the most dangerous way to be, because then you are letting fear drive you and you're not even steering. You're just letting it boop, kicks on your actions. And which for me, sometimes I notice I do this like on a smaller scale with little things that are going on with me, where I'll start, like, let's say I'm feeling sick or something, and I start changing eating habits or try a vitamin or try this, but I do all these variables. And so there's no way I could know even if there is a causal relationship. I would think of it as I just start pushing whatever buttons I can reach, which is not helpful. And that's my version of the do people. But anyway, but this is basically really calling us out on have no anxiety at all. But it gives us the other side of it. But by everything, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, make your requests known to God. And the thing here is, it is this situation is definitely the faith deficit that is in our faith nowadays. The deficit is problematic in this, because we can pray, and by prayer and petition, but as it says in James, if you're double-minded in your prayers and you're just doing it to check it off your list, you're not praying in faith, then you might as well not be praying, or if you're praying for selfish reasons to spend what you are asking for on your own pleasure, so that, like, I'm praying for God to give me more buttons to push to make me feel better. That's also no bueno. But this is saying, like, to bring these things before God, and then it requires the faith to leave them there. And it's not like leave them there because it's all day, every day. Like when some of these things, they pop back up. It's like playing a game of whack-a-mole. They just pop up all the time. But it's like I already have decided that I'm leaving them with God, and I'm not going to be moved to act on any of them because I know they are fear. And I don't want fear at the root of any more of my actions. I want faith. And with some of the really small ones, I have really seen God give me tangible things to hold to. Like I had faith about a certain situation, and then it really did come to pass that He took care of it. It was, and when I had faith, the other thing is I didn't have faith that God was going to do a very specific thing. I had faith that it would work out, that God was doing something, that God was already doing something, and so I didn't pigeonhole my expectations to be, X, Y, or Z. Like I just left it open ended, and the Lord showed up and took care of those small things, and they've been something that has helped spur me on to take further steps of faith. And but I think that this is